And that's where our work under SWIFT at Togwachale gave us the second lesson. The focus here was small-scale cross-border trading women and
urban development along the Berbera corridor. The EU Global Gateway and the Horn of Africa initiative, they bring regional connectivity, infrastructure and investment perspectives.
Under the TMA Horn of Africa corridor work, Triple Line supported the establishment of SALSA and the 10-year Berbera corridor strategy. The important point for us was that the corridor already had multiple actors: governments, private sector, traders, logistic companies and development partners. But they needed a more structured way of bringing operational issues together and translating them into actions. SALSA was designed as a platform to provide coordination and private sector interface, and I'm happy to see them here today, and they'll be presenting later today. The lesson for us is quite simple. We don't necessarily need another governance structure, but we do need to connect and strengthen the structures that already exist. The value is in creating clear pathways from private sector problems through structured sector dialogue into government engagements and ultimately corridor action. So that was our Horn of Africa project. But the corridor doesn't operate on the level of strategy and associations only. It operates in cities, at borders and at markets. And that's where our work under SWIFT at Togwachale gave us the second lesson. The focus here was small-scale cross-border trading women. And importantly, we could localize the simplified trade regimen through the city and local government coordination. I'm happy to see both mayors of Togwachale and Wajala here who have been instrumental in assisting us on our joint border work, because many of the practical constraints affecting cross-border trade are experienced at that level. As part of this joint cross-border trade information desk for small traders that Mayor Mahmoud and Mayor Awil are supporting will hopefully address some of these issues. But there are critical gaps ranging from inflation, multiple currency fluctuations that is repressing small traders in small towns and border towns, and the lack of public spaces. The point isn't to replace national or regional trade frameworks. It is to translate them into something that actually works locally and addresses these core constraints that traders are suffering with. We saw that those traders also required some strengthening of capacity. We trained 285 women in basic literacy, numeracy, and mobile payments. More work needs to be done. On the Somaliland side, we established 4 cooperatives. On the Ethiopian side, cooperatives were already in existence. We are doing institutional capacity building with them. The lesson is that cities should not just be viewed as places along the corridor. They are active actors in making cross-border trade work. Work needs to be done in these cities structurally, institutionally, technically, and infrastructure, so that small traders are not left behind in this future that we are all discussing. If we can connect the local government, the border services, the markets and traders on both sides of the border, you create a mechanism for taking regional and national frameworks and making them operational at a local level.
The East Africa City Corridor is emerging with a wider ecosystem with regional, national and city level initiatives. The opportunity is not to create another parallel program, but to connect these initiatives more effectively. And our experience as in Triple Line is a UK-based consulting firm. I am a managing consultant based in the Addis office, but we do have branch offices in different countries, and we work on cities, corridors, logistics, transport, etc. So, before diving straight to the experiences we have acquired this past 5 years, I would just like to explain the broader landscape in which the East Africa Cities Corridor will operate. So having said that, the corridor is already being shaped by multiple initiatives. The first one is the East Africa City Corridor, this corridor, which focuses on city-led cooperation, planned urban growth, migration-sensitive planning and local economic development. The second one is the Cities Alliance itself. Sigereda has mentioned a few explanations about this, so I will just jump it and move on to the third one. The third one, the EU-funded SUDAC program, aims to strengthen capacity development, local governance, urban development along the Berbera corridor. The EU Global Gateway and the Horn of Africa initiative, they bring regional connectivity, infrastructure, and investment perspectives. The World Bank Corridor Program, this also focuses on or tries to address transport, trade facilitation, digital connectivity, and institutional strengthening. IGAD, Intergovernmental Advisory, you know IGAD, I'm sorry I forgot the abbreviation, but it provides a broader regional infrastructure planning framework, while national NCT programs, they are dealing with urban expansion, logistics, industrial development, and urban development. So in parallel, trade and private sector programs are supporting market systems, value chains, women traders, and enterprise development. So these programs are complementary, but they do not automatically produce a common delivery agenda. The East Africa Cities Corridor can add value by helping connect these existing initiatives around practical city corridor priorities. So the issue is not a lack of program, it's the lack of a consistent mechanism for consolidating priorities, clarifying institutional roles, preparing projects, connecting them to financing, and tracking implementation. Next slide, please. So over the past 5 years, Triple Line has worked across the Berbera corridor and the wider Horn of Africa on both governance and investment-related challenges. This has included supporting the private sector coordination through CELSA, the Somaliland Exporters and Logistics Sectoral Association. This is a public-private corridor, and my colleague Zahara will come in to talk about it in detail. The second one is localizing trade facilitation through SWIFT. This is a Swedish initiative for facilitating trade in Togo Chale. The third one, and what I would like to highlight, is the GISIP one. GISIP is the Green Cities Infrastructure and Energy Program, which was funded by FCDO to develop investment opportunities linked to logistics, dry ports, free trade zones, water resilience, sanitation, drainage, etc. So, moving on to the next slide. The Green Cities Infrastructure and Energy Program followed a structured investment first pathway. We first captured the investment opportunities, we assessed, we prioritized, we clustered, and then we developed a market sounding document to showcase this investment opportunities in an investment forum. To mention some of the projects we have identified, the Eastern Cluster focused in Jijiga, Diredwa, Harar, and up to the Ethiopian side of the Togo-Jale border. I've had a chance to meet some of you during this program. So in Diredwa, priorities included freight-oriented development projects like the Malka Jabdu Logistics Hub, the free trade zone to dry port connectivity. The city was requesting to build a bus rapid transit with complementary infrastructure. So the key point here is that the pipeline is not a static list. It needs continuous screening, preparation, prioritization, financing, and delivery support. And I'm sorry to say GISIP has concluded, but this provides an ample and a great opportunity for the East Africa Cities Corridor to help carry the most relevant opportunities forward and connect them to wider financing and implementation platforms. Just to mention some of the projects beyond Redwa, the Eastern Cluster identified opportunities in Jijiga, Harar, and Togo Chale. And Jijiga priorities include market infrastructure, logistics and transport services, urban mobility, and basic services to support trade along the corridor and also population growth. Jijiga also highlighted the need Jijjiga also highlighted the need for a database to monitor migration flows and their implications for services and planning. As a major destination and a transit point, the city faces pressure on housing, services, labor markets, drainage, and social infrastructure. Togo Chale, on the other side, as a key border town, is well placed to collect and share data on cross-border movements, trade flows, and seasonal migration. This coordinated approach between Jijjiga and Togo Chale could help create a more complete picture of migration dynamics along the section of the corridor. So what I would just like to highlight from here is that the East Africa Cities Corridor and that the implications that city-level support and highlighting the importance of cities is quite important to drive growth nationally, regionally, and internationally. So EACC can definitely help address some of these broad list ideas to a smaller set of credible and investable projects, and Triple Line would be very much happy to support this. With that, I would like to invite Zahra Jibril, my colleague, to explain the details on CELSA and the SWIFT program.